Oh, Fusilli Grind! Oh, Fusilli Grind, Fusilli Grind. I was watching your videos in preparation of my SOTY coverage.
A wolf in sheep's clothing
This guy's a wolf in sheep's clothing
10, 15 years ago.
9 or 10 years ago.
Born a little too late.
Born in the wrong generation. Fusilli Grind, let me tell you what. You have an elite voice.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the show. It's great to have you all back again. We've got a real fun one. We've got one more little installment for you guys to cap off the year 2024. Interesting year, but it will always be the year that Fusilli Grind got its start. If you're an OG Fusillian era, you'll remember our first ever episode went down in January of this year, and we made it all the way to 52. That's an average of one Fusilli per week. But if you're a diehard Fusillian, you know that it's not a weekly show. You know that my content comes in fits and bursts, and you just gotta ride the waves when they come in. You know, it's like surfing the web on a wave of Fusilli. Anyway, shout out to everybody who supported the show along the way. It's really fun, and we're going to keep it going into 2025. 2025, can you believe it? What a nice little quarter century we've delved into this new millennium here. I always think back on 2025 as one of those years that we made all sorts of predictions about, back in 2000, and probably none of them have come true. But anyway, we're here now, and I hope everybody's having a nice holiday season. Hope everybody's rustling up their New Year's resolutions. I hope everybody's hitting the gym. It's December 31st where I am. Get in there a day early if it's time to get swole for you. It's time to get swole for me. So you guys are gonna keep me honest. Anyway, let's jump into it. Ins and outs. What's in? What's out for 2025? We've seen a lot of trends coming and going over the past 5, 10, 15 or so years. So let's try and put our fingers on the pulse and feel out, which bubbles have burst and where our new emerging markets lie. So let's jump into it. 2025 ins and outs. I've broken this down into 3 parts. So in the first part, we're going to talk about product, skate product to be specific, but also product in general, kits, fits, the whole 9 yards. So let's jump right into it. The way that we're going to run this is I'm going to have something on the left side of the screen that's on the way out, and then I'm going to have the antithetical counterpart to that thing on the right side that's on the way in my opinion. And of course, these are all predictions, subject to change, but I think I'm pretty right about this shit. First thing that's going out, skater-owned shoe brands. And the writing's been on the wall. I've talked about this at length, and it's already happening and before our eyes, before the year's even out. Lakai is folding, which is no surprise given this abomination that they've produced with the Vibram outsole, this weird lifestyle trail runner Lakai abomination. Get it out of here. But they were dead way before they ever decided to do this. Anyway, Lakai, Emerica, DC is kind of wavering, although dudes that wear skinny jeans to the skate park are still keeping DC afloat, I think. Etnies may have had a little bit of sauce with that Sal Barbier Sal 23 re-release, but, it's still not looking good for any of the so-called skater-owned shoe brands. And basically, most of these guys have sold down equity. I don't know how many of the brands are actually still, in-house skater-owned. They're on the way out. I'm sorry. Their lunch has been eaten by the big guys, the big guns. There's too many options on the skate shop wall of higher quality shoes that'll last longer. I know so many people who would rather buy a $100 shoe from a big brand than buy, another pair of $50 Americas that's going to fall apart in 2 sessions. So they just can't keep up, it seems. And this goes for the newer skater-owned shoe brands too. I mean, all of Jamie Thomas's extra shoe brands, this, that, and the third. Last Resort's probably the only one that has enough juice to make it through 2025. Last Resort's still kind of holding on there. They've got their hipster stronghold. But don't be surprised if they fall too. Shoe business is a tough business, and when you have players like Nike, Adidas, New Balance, Asics is entering the game, they all have the ability to produce a much better product, much more technical know-how. So, it's no surprise. I'm surprised that Lakai was in business as long as it was. Anyway, okay, so the antithesis to that is board brands, skateboard deck companies. And I think there's a lot of staying power for the classic skateboard deck companies that are still doing it. Even if it's not your cup of tea, which it certainly isn't mine. Zero is still cooking. They've got, a new crop of dudes. They've got Ben Havren on the squad. That gives me hope for them. Girl skateboards. They're putting on Vincent Malou. Maybe they'll funnel some of that wasted Lakai money over to him. Shay Sandiford has been riding girl boards. The girl stock is going up. Alien Workshop, if you listen to the last Dead Air Radio like I did, you will have heard Mitch and Steve, shout out to Mitch and Steve, inform us that Quasi is going to bring Alien in-house, which is an interesting progression. It's like, Quasi came out of Alien 10 years ago. Now Alien is kind of off in obscurity, and Quasi is still relevant. And now for Quasi to sort of take the reins on Alien could be interesting. They could juice it, with some of their flow guys like Mitch and Steve were saying. So I think look out for the classic skateboard deck brands. We're completely at the point where the bubble of small skateboard companies has burst, and now everybody is just kind of overwhelmed with the selection that's available. But I think, these big brands that are still around, they haven't totally dwindled away yet. I think there's still some juice there, and I think you might start to see more people riding these brands in 2025. All right, up next. Okay, I think that the overly techy, finicky, sort of old-school tech shoe thing is completely gone. I think that that's done. S is one of those brands that's dead in the water, and they were the worst offender with this kind of thing. These shoes went away for a reason. They came back. They had their little nostalgia flash. But it's completely done. Nobody needs this anymore. It's not conducive to good skateboarding. People back in the day were amazing skaters in spite of these shoes, not because of them. And I think people are getting wise to that now. And what I think is one thing that's still in are kind of the new tech style of shoes, the modern tech, where, the big footwear brands are actually putting athletic tech into their shoes, and people are enjoying them. They're putting mesh, they're putting, different kinds of dual density midsoles and things. And people are loving the Tiago shoes, for example, the Tom Knox New Balance shoe, as well as some of the stuff that Asics is doing. The new Ishod shoe is pretty techy. Both of the first two Ishod shoes were quite techy, but people seem to like them a little bit. But definitely the stuff that New Balance is putting out, people are really vibing with. I think those are here to stay in 2025. And I think now you have to sort of go one way or the other. You're either a modern techie, New Balance type guy, or you're just a Chuck Taylor, classic, timeless design, Volk sole probably, or a thin cup sole, like a classic Adidas. Sambas. Sambas have been completely blown out in the fashion and white girl world, which I think is good. I think once they're completely blown out, then it's kind of open season again, and you can start wearing them again. Sambas, Chucks, Vans old school, slip-ons, Eras, Authentics, all of those kind of classic looks. I think people are going to start gravitating back towards them. As we start to talk about pants So it's not groundbreaking to say that baggies are on the way out, or they're almost completely out, even though some people will carry them on, as with any of these trends. But I think Gifted Hater referred to it as the Great Slimming. And I think we've seen the Great Slimming taking effect throughout 2024. On the left, I have a still of Max Wasungu from the Baker Has a Death Wish Part 2 video that came out at the beginning of the year. He's got some baggies that are just completely coming apart at the seams. He's got a little bit of that Philo-Wester gutter punk, studded belt, black shoes aesthetic going on. I think those kind of fits are going to be a thing of the past in 2025. I think it's starting to look dated to me already. Do you agree? Sick of this shit, man. I think, Max himself, we saw him in the Dime video getting a little bit experimental with some boot cuts and some high water type weird other cuts of pants and things like that. I think those have come very in vogue as we've gotten further into 2024. But I think what we're heading towards, and I really hope that we are what I have down on the right side here, and that is Dandra Hobel looking ass, classic, timeless skateboarding outfits. What's wrong with a nice cap and a button-up and your best pair of brown pants? I think we're going to be seeing lots of blue jeans, flannels, that kind of shit. Just timeless Americana coming back in vogue. You're still going to have your Nikolai Piombos and your outliers like that, and the swishy pants, and the tech gear, and those horrible tech beanies that Miles Silvas has been wearing. But I think we need an answer to the gutter punk shit, and I think it is those Dandra Hobel looking ass fits. I mean, look how good he looks in this photo. Nice baby blue trucker, white button up with the sleeves rolled up, couple buttons down, perfect brown pants. Not too slim, not skinnies, but well-fitting brown pants. And God willing, we're going to get a little bit of some of that action in 2025. All right, part 2. Geographic/demographic. I kind of lumped these in because they're thematically similar. It'll make more sense once we just get into it. Okay, round 1. Canadian provinces. On the left side, I've got Quebec. Quebec's on the way out. On the right side, I have Manitoba. Manitoba's on the way in. Now, do I think that if you're from one of these provinces or the other, that you're really on the way out or on the way in? No. But what I'm saying is markets where it's very saturated, like, you've got the Dime Glory Challenge that everybody watches the world over, and everybody tunes in to see what the Dime boys are up to. I'm sick of Dime. Too much controversy around them. A little bit annoying, a little bit bothersome, the guy screaming into the microphone. I love enthusiasm. I love Canada. I love cracking a couple of brewskis with the bros just as much as the next guy. But I'm just a little bit tired of it. And on the other hand, we've got a place like Manitoba. Did you guys see that Winnipeg video that just came out? I'll put some clips in. I'll figure out what it was called. I have no idea what it was called. I have no idea any of the guys' names. Amazing skating, straight from the heart. Beautiful, a little get-together over there in Winnipeg. So I'm not as much trying to rip on these provinces or say that they're great, but what I'm trying to get people thinking about are, mature markets and emerging markets. Skateboard scenes in places where there shouldn't necessarily be a skateboard scene. I think we're going to be seeing, hopefully, I think we're going to be seeing a little bit more focus on that kind of thing in 2025. I think we've been kind of oversaturated with the overproduced, overpolished, even though, the Dime stuff doesn't appear that polished. They've got a ton of money behind them, and these guys in Manitoba don't have two loonies to squeeze together or whatever you say. So I hope to see a little bit more of that down home, flyover state vibes kind of thing in the future. I'm not asking for Midwest emo. We'll talk about that later. But I am asking maybe for a little bit more Midwest, a little bit less coastal vibes. All right. This is kind of the same. This is a variation on that theme. All right, on the left, I've got trips to Japan. Too many guys have been going on trips to Japan, specifically Okinawa. There was that GX trip that they did to Okinawa, and then it seemed like there was another trip of another group of guys who were there almost at the same time, skating the same spots. I've seen so much Tokyo footage. I've seen so much this, so much that. Stop going to Japan. The Japanese guys already mugged everyone with the Tight Booth video last year. Japan, listen, I'm sure Japan is great. I think a lot of people in the West fetishize Japan a little bit too much. I'd love to go there myself someday. But just, I'm done seeing the footage, the night footage. Give it a rest. I mean, it's enough Japan for me. Instead, what you could do is you could go to the steppes. You know, you could go out in Mongolia, or you could go out somewhere in Kazakhstan, you know, or weird parts of Russia, you know, or show me a skate edit in somewhere where there's no skate spots at all. Get creative. Come on. If you want to be creative, get creative. Go somewhere where there's nothing happening and make some shit happen. I hope we see more of that as we go into 2025. You know, show me a skate edit out of Kyrgyzstan or Tibet or something. You know, I'm sure there's something you could make happen over there. Stop going to Japan. This one's going to get a little bit touchy because I'm absolutely sick of Doobie, of Victor Pellegrin. I don't know. You all know him as Doobie. And listen, I don't want to rag on Doobie directly. I'm sure that, you know, were he and I to hang out together, we'd have a nice time. I love chopping it up with French guys, or guys that speak French as a first language. But I'm just sick of the affect. I'm sick of his messaging, what Doobie represents. And that is being hard to deal with, being a pain in the ass. I think being a pain in the ass is completely out in 2025. There's no room for, everybody's going through it enough for you to have to make somebody else's day worse. And listen, I don't have any first-hand accounts to whether or not this guy really is such a pain in the ass, but he's portrayed to be a serious fucking pain in the ass. You know, beard guzzling, weed smoking, ditching the sesh to go fishing kind of guy. I think it's fine to do all that stuff, but Thrasher waves this guy around like the flag of, oh, you know, this guy's so sick, you know. But I just think that image is so bad and it's just toxic, you know. And now I'm gonna come off sounding like some sort of, you know, standard lib, but it is, and you know, I think it's corrupting the youth a bit. There's an article in the last Thrasher. I've seen 5, 6, 7 articles in Thrasher where there's a little section on Doobie, and they talk about, you know, oh, he's hilarious, but he's fucking tough to deal with. And I don't know about you guys, but I heard murmurings that he and Chris Fanner and Dustin Dolan got some skate film festival in Croatia completely canceled by being too drunk and rowdy. And ever since then, I've kind of written those 3 guys off and everything that they're about. So listen, I'm sure that I would love to hang out with this guy, but I'm sick of seeing him. I'm sick of the spot that he has in the media landscape. I'm sick of everybody and their mother knowing about Doobie and his crazy antics. I love you, Doobie, but let's just cool it a little bit. And then on the other side, I have a guy who I assume is sort of like the antithesis to Doobie. I don't know for a fact, but I just see this guy as not bothering anybody. This is Martino Cattaneo, or however you say it. Another European guy, very talented skater, but just seems much more responsible and seems like he's not bothering anybody, and seems like he just wants to have a good time and skate. And we need more guys like that. He did that amazing pop shove it on that thing. It may have been in Japan, but we'll let it slide this time. But let's see more guys like this who are just kind of silently killing it, doing their thing, not bothering anybody, not getting any film festivals canceled. He's a stand-in for anybody who's willing to behave with a little bit of decorum and respect. Part 3. We're almost done here, guys. The media. I want to talk about trends, what's in and out with skateboard media. And this is important because all we do all day is get bombarded by skateboard media, skate videos, skate edits, this, that, and the third. So let's jump into it. First up, something I think that's on the way out is complaining about video formats. I don't want to hear anybody complaining that something is filmed VX or HD or iPhone or Handycam or SLR or Red camera, whatever you got. Super 8. People are going to make edits with whatever they have on hand, whatever they like to use, and they can't be stopped. There's nothing you can do about it, so quit complaining. What you can do, and what I think is on the way in, is you can critique things thoughtfully. You can recognize when something is filmed either well or poorly, and when something is edited well or poorly, and you can critique it thusly. I think Gifted Hater awoke a bunch of YouTube commenting sleeper cells when he reviewed the New Balance video for all to see, and basically tore it apart for being terribly filmed, and it was. I agree with him on that. But now, on all the new stuff that's come out subsequently, I see people in the comments chattering. I see them saying, oh, these angles are shit, this and that. But I don't think they're actually giving a good critique of the filming. I just think that they know it's open season to talk shit on filming. If you've ever held a camera and tried to film someone's skateboard, whether it's an iPhone or a VX or an HPX, whatever you got, you know that it's not easy to bar somebody up for real. And when you bar somebody up, it feels good. So I'd like to see everybody in 2025 become a little bit more cognizant of recognizing and respecting good filming and good editing. And if it's not, I want to see people critiquing that. It has to go both ways. Up next, let's talk about music. This is a big one, guys. Midwest, emo, math rock, it's done. Let's be done with it. So sick of little fiddly guitar chord inversions and arpeggios and that, and whiny boy music. I mean, it's fine if you really love that, but I think so many people just threw their hat in the ring and said, oh yeah, this will go really well with my edit of 18-year-olds skating around some beautiful suburb of Los Angeles. But that shit is over. I would like to see people in 2025, and I'm realizing now that this is more of a wish list than a prediction, but what I really want to see in 2025 is people digging in the crates, having some modicum of taste and having an opinion, and not just putting the same sort of music that everybody else is putting. Put some off-the-wall shit on there. Give me a deep cut. Give me something that's surprising. Give me something that's funny. Tongue-in-cheek is fine. I will take anything above a brooding math rock, sad boy fucking shoegaze fest. Shoegaze, listen, we're going to get semantic about genre, but shoegaze is kind of in that same vein. Give me something fresh. And fresh doesn't necessarily have to be new. Like, I loved that Gabriel Summers part with the Dido song. I mean, that's like an early 2000s radio hit, but it works so well. Use radio hits. Go play radio hits, play oldies, play some weird ethnomusicologist shit, that was recorded in the 20s. Play some shit that was recorded onto a 78. Actually give a shit about something for once, please. Please. And last but not least, I want to talk about the commentary sphere, the sphere that I live in, the sphere that Gifted Hater lives in, and some others. More and more people are throwing their hat in the ring now to talk about stuff, and I think, speaking on it, so to speak, should be on the way out. And what I mean by that is when people just go off and riff without really doing any research, without really knowing what they're talking about. It's fun to just go off and riff and rage. But it doesn't really get us anywhere in terms of discourse. It doesn't push the discussion at all. It's fun. It's entertaining. You can react to stuff and talk shit. But I think what's really going to come back in vogue is actually knowing. And I've got the big brain. I didn't realize that was a GIF. That's really annoying and distracting. But actually knowing, actually reading up, doing your homework is going to come back in fashion, I think, in 25. Because knowledge is power. And I think as a skateboarder, knowledge is your best friend. If you steep yourself in anything, you'll have a better view, a more holistic view of the big picture. So read up, do your homework, figure out where things came from, watch Dan Drahobel skate footage, and get stoked to have a lovely 2025. All right, we love you guys. Shout out Facilionaires. Keep watching if you want to see me absolutely obliterate a Scrando at GeoGuessr. Okay, I already burnt enough time making this episode today, so no complaining. What you see is what you get. I'm going to jump in. We're going to find the first person that I can duel. And we're just going to do our best. We're going to try our best. And I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to be surprised at how bad I've gotten. We're just going to do it. We're just going to deal with it. Okay? So join me. This is taking forever. I'm going to go chuck a whiz. All right. We've got Alan Wu from Finland. All right. Where's this? This looks like London, except it's not London because you'd have yellow plates on the back. This is Prague because we've got the CZ on the... you have a CZ on the domain name here. So that's probably a pretty easy. Czechia, Prague, he saw it too. It's a pretty easy round for both of us. He took 14 points. It's going to take a lot more than that, Alan. All right. Now, here's what... let me tell you something I don't know. I don't know whether this is like an Indian script or a Bangladeshi script. He picked, so he's going to force me. My first instinct was that this is Bangladesh, so we're going to go downtown. Dhaka, yeah, okay, so this guy, again, this is kind of elementary, just reading the surroundings. I took 1 point in that round. It's going to take something a little bit more tricky to get this guy. Sushi restaurant, we've got yellow plates on the front and back, which means we are in the Netherlands. So there's nothing really to tell me right away whether it's Amsterdam or Rotterdam. This is the world map. I always say it, so you're most likely in the capital city. That's just how world map coverage tends to be. Oh my god, it was Copenhagen. So Denmark has yellow plates as well. He had the 5K. He knew exactly where that was. It's in this guy's backyard, if he's from Finland. Okay, so this is like a Swedish-Finnish type speed limit sign. I don't know. I'm just going to guess that this is somewhere in Sweden. Look at this little man on the street. That's probably specific to an area, but let's just go Stockholm. And if it's Finland, he'll get me, but he won't get me that bad. Is that the Finnish? Uh-oh. What is that? What is that crosswalk sign? Iceland. All right, let's check back to see if there was something telling about Iceland on that round. PT Cruiser. God, it feels so nice to see a PT Cruiser. This looks so much like Portland, Oregon. It's insane. So I'm just going to fucking send it. He's going to have no idea where this is. It could be Connecticut, because those plates look a little bit blue. They look a little bit like Connecticut plates, but God, no, dude, this is Northeast Portland all day. Calling it. This is like, yeah. Okay, it's Seattle, but, oh, it's Vancouver. Okay, well. All three of those metropolitan areas look very similar, have very similar architectural styles, and were developed around the same time. That's why I was thinking about Portland. Okay. We've got a truck. We're in a truck. No fatus. Is this Senegal? I think so, but I've gotten got on Senegal a few times. But that's French on that sign, so... Oh, and he knows too. So let's go somewhere halfway between Dakar and Touba. Yeah, it was downtown Dakar. Okay. This is a good match. This guy, he's obviously nowhere near as amazing as I am, but he's pretty good. All right. We've got some Taiwan. Is this Taiwan? Taiwanese looking coverage here. Right? Oh God, he knows. Palm Street. Does that mean this is... I think this is Taiwan. Taipei. Let's go Taipei. Hong Kong. Yeah, I knew because there was too much English in it. It didn't quite look Taiwanese. See, we're rusty here, guys. A more seasoned player would have this stuff like that. Snappy. Okay, this is looking very Israeli. He's gonna know that. That's pretty easy. Yep, he's already guessed. I was closer. So, the multipliers are gonna become more and more powerful. So, even if we're still close like this, I can still edge him out. Within a metropolitan area, within a small area. Albergue Deportivo Rosario. Let's see if he knows about Rosario. Let's see if I know where Rosario is. Boom, there it is. One of the larger cities in Argentina is Rosario. Let's see if he knows, if he caught that little sign. This could be where I get him. Yeah, he's timing out. Oh, no question. Mexico. All right, we hit him with the GGs just to be respectful. Absolutely demolished him, but it was closer than I thought it was going to be initially. So, anyway, fun game. That was how many rounds? Let's go back and look at that Iceland round. Dhaka, Copenhagen. He got me on that one. Here we go, Iceland. Let's look at this Iceland location and see if there's something that was a dead giveaway. So I always associate this kind of sign with Sweden or Finland, but maybe because it has this little extra ring around it, maybe that's an Iceland specific thing. I haven't actually researched this stuff in a long time, like the metas and what you're supposed to know, so I'm just kind of teaching it to myself as we play along here on Fusilli. There's these very iconic Icelandic road bollards, which are pretty telling, but I'm not seeing any of that. So I saw the yellow man crossing the street. That's got to be Iceland specific, because the Finland one is very similar to this. But not quite. It's not yellow, it's black and white, so. Okay. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you stick around for the GeoGuessr, I love you guys. Bye-bye.